Alright, we've got Aljamain Sterling versus Petr Yan, the rematch. Aljamain Sterling's been meaning to kind of fight Petr Yan for about a year now, I guess, for the rematch, but unfortunately he's been having surgeries and all this sort of thing to before we fight in Petr Yan. And one thing about Petr Yan is this guy's only 29 years old. I just realized, man, Petr Yan really could become one of the greatest bantamweights ever if he manages to kind of keep this win streak that he's got going on. Like, he beat Jimmy Rivera, he beat Uriah Faber by knockout, and then he also beat Jose Aldo by that very late stoppage, in my opinion. He lost to Aljamain Sterling in a fight that he was starting to win. Aljamain Sterling, though, was looking good in the first couple of rounds for sure, and then he beat Corey Sandhagen in that amazing fight last year. One of the greatest fights that happened last year, in my opinion. Aljamain Sterling, I think he's going to have like the jiu-jitsu advantage, so if he wants to win over Petr Yan, he has to get a submission. But a lot of money, I think, is coming on Petr Yan because Petr Yan was starting to take over. That's what Petr Yan does. It's almost like he gives up the first round to make a read on his opponent, to make a read on what he did. Like, I feel like the Weasel broke down the Petr Yan fight versus Corey Sandhagen very well. And in that, you can actually see how high level both guys are in the striking department. Petr Yan, a much better striker than Aljamain Sterling, in my opinion. But Aljamain Sterling, I think he's going to have like a grappling jiu-jitsu advantage. I think that if he wants to win this fight, he has to get the fight to the ground. He has to look for a submission. Like, he did submit Corey Sandhagen in 42 seconds. You can't really forget about that. And he has beaten good levels of competition prior to becoming the champion in a weird way that he did. It's just a strange one. I'm going to be picking Petr Yan to knock out Aljamain Sterling probably in like the 3rd, 4th, or the 5th round, but I would not be surprised if we see Aljamain Sterling beat Petr Yan. In the first fight, he really did try and overwhelm Petr Yan because it's what he does. Petr Yan, he makes the reads on his opponents, and Aljamain Sterling was trying to like overload Petr Yan with information, let Petr Yan not be able to make those reads really. But towards the end, he was starting to tire out, and Petr Yan was starting to take over. If this fight is on the feet, I'm picking Petr Yan 10 times out of 10. But if the fight gets to the ground, I think that Aljamain Sterling could definitely kind of prove some problems here, but I'm just going to be trusting in Petr Yan. That's the thing with Aljamain Sterling. He's been having a lot of injuries recently. I guess you could kind of cause that for concern. Didn't he have, like, surgery on his neck or something? Crazy like that, or was it a back surgery? One of the two. But, like, he's had surgery in like, places I feel like that take a lot out of someone, especially, like, a fighter. So I'm really going to be trusting Aljamain Sterling to come in 100%, but that's the sort of thing, like, this guy, Aljamain Sterling, has been injured, a neck injury, so a neck surgery, that's kind of scary stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna be picking Petr Yan here. I do have once again, the odds I think are a little bit wide, but I think that's just a lot of people wanting Yan to win, people putting money on Yan because he was winning the second fight, or is about to start winning the second fight for sure. But Aljamain Sterling, he's a dog, man. He is a dog, and he will fight for your money. He's going to want to defend that belt. And if Aljamain Sterling does win, I actually would not be so surprised. And I think that would make the MMA community quite upset. I think it would be quite funny. But I will be picking Petr Yan to win. I will be picking like a late TKO. Kind of like a round 3, 4, or 5 sort of knockout towards the end. But maybe Petr Yan just comes in aggressive, because maybe Petr Yan has made all of the reads that he needs to in Aljamain Sterling in the first fight. And he's not going to be slow in the first round. He's not going to be slow in the second round. We're just going to see him come out in the first and second round, just look for a knockout there. So it's going to be interesting, man. I'm picking Petr Yan late knockout, but man, imagine if he just runs out and goes for a first round KO. That would be kind of funny. But I'm picking Petr Yan to win this fight here, and a closer fight than the odds are saying, and a closer fight than the Tapology votes are saying as well, in my opinion.